Hello and welcome to The Price of Music, brought to you by Music Ally, the show that both looks at the finances of the music industry. We'll also bring you some stories and comments about the past week in the pop business. He's Stuart Dredge, I'm Steve Lamack. Let's start, as always, with a show-stopping figure, a big number. What's your big number this week, Stuart?
I'm going big and very specific this week. It's
Right.
41,307.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how many songs I've listened to on Spotify since 2008.
Oh, this is another new Spotify feature. This isn't it? Which I noticed came up recently.
Well, it's celebrating its 20th birthday anniversary of its launch, which you may have seen, or people may have seen, that the Spotify logo has changed on people's phones to a disco ball logo, which has predictably created anger and fury on the internet. People were saying, why is the logo a disco ball? Forcing Spotify yesterday to say, no, it's not going to stay as disco ball. It's just a temporary thing. Come on, lighten up, people. So in app now, you know the Spotify Wrap thing that happens at Christmas where it gives you all your stats? Well, they've basically done that, but for as long as you've been on Spotify, which for me is since 20th of October 2008, because we were writing about it about then. So.
And so what was the number again? 41,000?
41,307. I looked up, so my most streamed artist is the Chemical Brothers, it turns out, which I think is because for 3 years I was using them as my gym playlist. But I do love them. But 10,834 minutes of Chemical Brothers listening, which I did some crunching. That's roughly between $8 and $14 of royalty payouts for the Chemical Brothers from my listening, which kind of sounds puny, doesn't it? Like 10,000 minutes plus.
It really does.
They've got 7.4 million listeners on Spotify.
Right.
So if we all listened like I had, that's like $80 million, which is simultaneously the kind of the paltriness of my individual royalties. Well, I spent more on a mug with the Chemical Brothers on it than I've given them in streaming royalties, clearly. So I've got a mug that cost me 16 quid.
Yeah.
So I have found other ways to put money in their pockets.
Yeah.
But it does add up. And yeah, so yeah, what I lack is context. I don't know if I am really good in terms of how much I've listened to. I don't know how high up the kind of the engagement pyramid I am, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I suppose it's when you signed up to Spotify and what you use Spotify for. If you're using it as a replacement for your stereo, where you used to play your CDs, we don't really listen to actual physical records anymore, then your Spotify figure will probably be higher than, for instance, yours is double mine. I looked up mine, and mine is, having joined a year later, so a year after you, but mine's only around 21,000. But then again, I listen to actual records quite a lot.
Well, that's
of the time,
it, yeah. Your listening time is surely lots of them. But
so it's down to it's down to your music listening habits, I imagine. It's not a competition. Yeah. All right.
No. I'm feeling, but it is a weird slice because you could, as part of this thing, you can get it to make a playlist, can't you, of your most streamed songs. Mm-hmm. Mine is Confidence Man Boyfriend, which I'm quite happy about because I really like that. But mine is again dominated by. There was a period of time when I had this one playlist that I played every time I go to the gym, so every couple of days, and so those are the songs that are high up there. So it's kind of. It's not really measuring what I love. It's measuring what I've played most. And there is a difference there, I guess.
Yeah.
If you use it for purpose. But yeah.
Okay, 3 talking points from the past week. Well, this first one is something which we've mentioned in the past couple of weeks, something we'd been speculating about, which is whether the UK's planned crackdown on ticket touting would appear in the King's speech, which was announced last week. That's all the proposed legislation for the next round of government. The answer is, unfortunately, no, but slightly yes. Explain this.
Well, yeah. So the King gave his speech on what my government's going to do. And it wasn't mentioned in there, but if you go to page 64 in the background briefing notes of the King's speech, which we all, of course, are reading that really carefully, it's in there as a draft bill, which, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it basically means it will be discussed and reviewed, but there's no guarantee it'll actually become law in the next session of Parliament.
Yeah,
this year.
it's interesting. It was the draft bill. It was defined by the NME as being designed to be subject to consultation and pre-legislative scrutiny from parliamentary committees, industry groups, and consumers before being formally introduced to Parliament as legislation. All this, of course, takes time, and as you say, there's no guarantee at this moment in time when it will get shunted up the list. So although this is, it's one small step forward when it comes to fighting the touts, one very small step forward, but it's also at least half a step back, because again, this is going to open up another opportunity, I'm sure, for big ticket resale websites to start lobbying MPs all over again. I shouldn't wonder. But,
well, on that topic, actually, I had an email after we covered it from Viagogo's PR.
Right.
And they had a statement. And their statement was they think the government's got it all wrong, and they think it should focus more on the primary ticketing market. So, first sales. Said focusing only on price caps risks entrenching a dominant primary player, that's Ticketmaster. So exactly as you say, they're gearing up to now say a new argument. I thought the spiciest quote I saw was, UK Music, so the umbrella body, they're generally quite measured, aren't they? Because they represent a lot of different interests.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Keel, the boss of that, said it was a betrayal of millions of music fans, which is, a no-nonsense quote saying we're really, really disappointed with this government. Which is,
obviously, I'm not going to go through all the arguments which we've put forward over the past fortnight, but it's such a missed opportunity to do something easy and positive. And no one, apart from the secondary ticket resale websites, no one is. I don't think is against this. And it is, for music fans, it's going to mean, another year, 2 year, 3 years of having to live with, exorbitant resale prices and touts employing thousands and thousands of bots to buy tickets, thus taking them away from real fans. And it just seems, as I say, a missed opportunity. It's not the only story this week which concerns government either, because the British labels body, the BPI, has put out some advice for the governments about how to handle AI music licensing. But again, based on story one, well, in this case, will MPs listen to what they're saying? What are they putting? What are they recommending? And how will this go down, do we think?
Well, it was very unfortunate because this report came out, which basically is saying here's what the government should do, came out on the very day the government was imploding in terms of leadership battles and infighting. So it might have got lost a bit in the main news. But yeah, basically it's saying to the government, we are licensing AI music companies. It's from the labels saying we're doing licensing deals. And I think it mentions 26 so far with AI companies. And saying, look, this is working, so don't mess this up. And by that, they're saying don't relax copyright rules to let AI companies kind of train on music without permission. Let us continue to do licensing deals with them and also back us up. So this report is saying that they want more transparency from AI companies telling you what they've trained their stuff on. And they want the rules to apply to all the AI models that are available here, even if they were trained somewhere else in the world. So it's just saying this is what we want, but it's also saying it's working. Like we're signing deals. So just kind of almost don't do things that will mess that up for us. It's the gist of this report.
Right.
Weirdly, it's a lot complicated subject because, just today I was writing about a story about the US where there's going to be some protest marches from musicians who are unhappy with the major labels' AI deals, and they think it's not going to be fair to musicians. So there's a lot of discussion still about these deals that are being signed by Universal and Warner and Sony. In the UK, they're saying, yeah, let us carry on. But there are musicians saying, hang on a minute, we want some transparency from you about these deals and how they're going to reward us. So it's all still arguments, basically. But this, if the report's called, it's got one of those reporty titles. It's called Driving UK Growth, the Role of Licensing Music in the Age of AI. But if anyone wants a primer on what the industry is asking for, it's a very good summary. They're doing a good job of setting out their demands.
Okay. Right. Not content with infiltrating 90% of parental streaming algorithms and making your Spotify Wraps look like an 11-year-old's birthday party playlist, those cartoon K-pop demon hunters are going out on a global tour, although details so far a bit sketchy.
Yeah, it was an announcement that there will be more announcements, basically. But yeah, I think we all knew this was coming because kids love K-pop demon hunters. And so they're going to do a big tour, and it's Netflix and it's AEG Presents. It's one of the big kind of live promoters, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to do a tour. And that was the announcement. And it doesn't say how big it is. I mean, I'm assuming it's at least arenas. Maybe stadiums. I don't know. Maybe stadiums is too big. But it doesn't say where it's going to be and when. It's being announced later this year, so I would assume it's a 2027 tour.
Yeah.
But we don't even know if the singers in, because you know that the real singers behind them have actually been more prominent recently. They performed at the Brits, they performed in America. And I don't know, we don't know if it's going to be, I sort of think of it as like old Gorillaz and new Gorillaz, right? So you remember old Gorillaz when they had the characters at the front and the musicians behind them?
Yeah.
Is it going to be that? Or are they going to have the people up front, you know, like new Gorillaz do, and have the characters behind them?
I would bet on the former, wouldn't you?
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Because if your target audience is basically the kids who've watched the film, then surely they're going to want to see the characters in the film, unless there are screens running animations and real people. So it might be a mix. I can't believe I can't believe we're now talking about what the K-pop Demon Hunters
this is what I've done
tour may consist of on the stage.
Do you know, though, I think it's a risk, because say this tour is next year, are kids still going to like K-pop Demon Hunters then? Like, I think they're going to need a new film at least to get everyone excited again, because there's a long gap. I mean, its peak was last year, and it's still popular.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, a year is a risk. They could have all moved on to something completely different then.
There'll be another film, won't there? Must be part of the plan. I mean, if it's been so colossally successful, you're not just going to walk away from it, are you, without making a sequel?
Well, imagine if all the kids had moved on and you've booked Wembley Arena. But I think it's going to be a big deal. But yeah, it'll be really fascinating if they do something genuinely like creative with it, with the characters and with the staging. Yeah. So we'll see, but I think it's going to be
what a turn up, and what a lovely link back to last week's program. If K-pop Demon Hunters are the latest victims of blue dot fever,
you heard it first.
Right. On to any other business. Can we start with the Eurovision Song Contest, which I haven't watched for about, I mean, no exaggeration, I haven't watched it for at least 15, possibly 20 years. So I'm not the most informed, and I don't know the recent history, but my daughter has obviously become slightly interested in it for the first time this year. So where do you stand on Eurovision, politics aside, Stuart?
I enjoy it, but you know, it makes me miss old Twitter, because Eurovision with Twitter used to be the most wonderful night, because all the comedians, all the music journalists and my friends were on there being funny.
Yeah.
And now we've all left Twitter. But yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, I wasn't sure this was a vintage year in terms of there wasn't much silliness and there weren't many cast iron bangers. It was all a bit meh. But what did you think coming back to it after 15 years?
Well, three things. One, I actually really liked the UK entry. I mean, I'm all up for novelty new rave, me, and obviously he's a really interesting chap, isn't he? Because he runs this little museum in Ramsgate, which is called "This Museum Is Not Obsolete." Which, if you ever happen to find yourself in Ramsgate, I would thoroughly recommend to anyone who likes, you know, old school analog synths. In fact, any old tech, really. It's amazing. It's a tiny room, really. Well, 2 rooms. But it's got, it's just weird stuff, like old telephone exchanges and, weird keyboards and theremins and, you know, a very early version. You can play a very early version of, you know, the game Pong, just the tennis. It's just got loads of brilliant stuff in it. So I like him. And I liked the song, and I did feel quite sorry for him, particularly having seen some of the pictures. The good folk of Ramsgate all came out to watch it on a screen.
Oh, no.
That was a long night for them.
I don't think there's any shame in it for him, though. I feel like it's not like it's a big star who's flopped. You know, I think he came and did it. He did his thing.
Yeah.
And even when he got 0 points in the audience vote, I don't know if he stayed up that late, but he just laughed. He seemed to take it in. He didn't seem, you know, so I don't think he's going to go back home crushed, or I hope not, because I think he's not let himself down at all.
Secondly, where did they get the presenters from?
Oh God, they weren't good this year.
Who was that fellow who looked like something that was dreamt up by the League of Gentlemen? If the League of Gentlemen were doing Eurovision, and a pastiche of Eurovision in the 70s or 80s. I mean, honestly, he looked like he'd fallen through a time warp from 1976, that guy. That was my second thought.
Mm-hmm.
My third is, does it, and this is the question for you, does it make anyone any money anymore? Does it make stars out of people? Do you become, even in the minor leagues, do you become a bit more successful, semi-famous? So I don't know, anyone who took part this year, what do we think the best case scenario is? Compared to obviously when I used to watch Eurovision 30 or 40 odd years ago, when ABBA were in it, and ABBA become obviously, quite a big success.
It was a launch pad. Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I've been crunching exactly that data.
Oh, brilliant. Good. This is what we're after.
It's a very specific data. It's Spotify streams, because that is the public data you have. Mm-hmm. So there's one, from the last 20 years, there's one standout success story that if you wanted to emulate, and that's Måneskin, the Italian band.
Right, pass me by.
They have nearly 25 million listens on Spotify.
Right.
Because they won Eurovision 2021, they've won it, but then they had a big hit in America and they've carried on. So they've actually become a big band, and Eurovision was just a start. So that's the one. But then it's quite a drop. There's a couple of artists who are on like 7.7 million listeners. So Duncan, Lawrence and Loreen. Loreen is like a Eurovision royalty. She won twice. Mm-hmm. But then a big drop. And then most of the winners of the last 20 years have got less than 1 million listeners, and quite a few have got like less than 300,000 listeners. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, Mae Muller, who entered for the UK a couple of years ago, and she did really badly on the night. She's got 2.1 million listeners. So she's got more listeners than a whole bunch of the recent winners put together.
Yeah.
So,
okay. And but will the winning track this year, which by the way was pretty good.
Bangaranga.
Brilliant. Yeah, actually it's fun, right? Wasn't it? It was a really fun.
The choreography as well, though, the chair choreography.
It was, I've got to say, I wasn't against it. But does that become a hit all around Europe? Does it, even if it's just a one-hit wonder for them, will that make them some money? Or do we all just move on?
I think it will make some money, and there's two things. There's the immediate hit, so this is a launch pad for it to get streamed around Europe to get money. But there's also the follow-on. If it's a class, if it's considered by Eurovision fans to be a classic, then every year it's going to get a bump because people are listening to Eurovision playlists. So it's one of those things. It's a bit like it's not quite like writing a Christmas song, but that idea of this is something where every year it can come back. But the question is, can you break out beyond that one song? And in most cases, they didn't, and they haven't.
Right.
But it's Bulgaria, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
She seemed like a star. even talking nonsense in interviews with the interviewer trying to get in. She looked like she's already a pop star. So she's got something about her that could break up. But that's the key, I think, is use it as a launch pad. Otherwise, you will become a one-hit wonder who kind of gets to do something every Eurovision and gets some appearance money from doing events. But do you know who the biggest, apart from Måneskin, the biggest artist that's been appearing in Eurovision recently from the UK is actually, and this calls back to previous stories we've talked about, Bonnie Tyler, who I forgot did Eurovision 2013 for the UK. She came 19th out of 26, so it didn't do very well. But she's got more than 15 million listeners on Spotify. So more than everyone who won in the last 20 years, apart from that one band. So maybe the key is to actually have some 80s power ballads up your sleeve.
Okay. This is good. Have you seen, everybody, have you seen the full lineup for the World Cup final halftime show, which has been announced? Again, is this a thing? I can't remember watching the last World Cup, but in the old days, you just have a brass band marching around football grounds at halftime, wouldn't you? There's one for the teenagers. But now, obviously, so the World Cup is basically going Super Bowl, is it? And they're going to have a big halftime show.
They are. So Chris Martin out of Coldplay is organising it. I don't think he's performing, or he might be turning up.
Hang on a second. Chris Martin is organising it?
Well, he's a curator, yes.
Of the halftime show at the World Cup final. Chris Martin.
From Coldplay, yes.
Wow.
Which I assume means they're going to be giving everyone some lights to wave as well. But this is a partnership with Global Citizen, the charitable initiative that he's been quite involved with. So yeah, and they announced the first three, well, the only three artists playing, and it's quite a lineup: Madonna, Shakira, and BTS, which as a trigger, and then also, but this is what I'm excited about, also Muppets and Sesame Street.
Do any of those, I mean, as you know, big stars as they are in the pop music sphere, do they shriek football fan at you? Or is it purely that we're gonna, in between the fellas kicking a ball around, we're gonna put on a big glitzy pop show for the telly? What I mean, I don't really.
Yeah,
sorry,
I mean,
if I seem like I'm struggling with this concept, but it's just, I mean, the idea of you could put Madonna on at halftime at Colchester United, they're still all out in the concourse buying cups of tea. They're not going to be that fussed. Most of you're not telling me that the South Stands, where all the noisy young fans are, they're buying a beer and a pie, but, you know, because it's Madonna. I mean, if it was, you could put Skinner and Badil out there and get more people.
Wow,
but
maybe.
Anyway,
to some extent, this is a big US star, big Latin American star, big Asian star. The thing I was wondering was that the BBC said the show's going to be 11 minutes long, because obviously I think for American football, it's a stop and start game. They aren't the same way, but for football, you can't let the players sit there for half an hour at half time. Their legs will cool down and they'll come out and get injured, you know. So it's 11 minutes long. And I'm thinking, how do you say to Madonna, Shakira and BTS, you've got 3.5 minutes each, no running over, and Miss Piggy's doing the finale, so don't get in her way, you know. So it's going to be, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if they're going to do massive medleys or whether they're going to do, are they going to do new material, which is the dreaded.
Yeah.
It's all for good cause. So I think it's going to an education fund. And there's this amazing quote from Shakira in the press release saying, "I've spent my life doing two things, making songs and building schools," which I checked and she has. She's got 30 years of philanthropy behind her, like building schools in Colombia. So there's goodness to this, but there's also a bit of like, wow, normally you would think you give one big star 11 minutes to do medleys, but this is going to be real on and off. Or maybe maybe all of them together. I mean, what would Madonna, Shakira and BTS do as one song? Vindaloo, maybe that's your answer, or Three Lions.
That's a bad thinking about. Now I've got this note here, which was forwarded to me for the next item, which it simply says, Stuart's latest merch purchase is a set of Zara Larsson pyjamas, but he can't wear them in the real world. Explain.
And not through embarrassment. Well, this is about Roblox. So we've talked about that with the gaming platform that's hugely popular with kids. And Zara Larsson is basically doing a performance in there. So it's called Zara Larsson's Midnight Sun World. So if you're on Roblox, you can go in there and you can kind of see her do a concert and you can buy merch. And they've got this big virtual merch store, which is selling pajamas. You can buy Zara Larsson's hair to put on your avatar.
Yeah, of course.
This sounds like a novelty thing, but here's the thing. So Zara Larsson was on Roblox before in 2021, and she had a Roblox game, and she earned more than $1 million from selling virtual merchandise there.
Really?
So that was announced at the time because fans were like, "Yes, I really want to have a Zara Larsson cap or a bag or outfit for my avatar in Roblox."
Yeah.
So she's a Roblox millionaire already, and now she's back. So it is like a serious story, and that I went and looked around. And it's like, it looks quite fun. It's like a colourful world. You can wander around. You go to the merch store, and you pay in Robux, which is Roblox's own currency.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and she's currently having this big comeback where she's up in the chart with Pink Pantherist up in the charts, got a song in there. And so I think what they said is right. Well, we did it. Wonder if we can make more than $1 million this time. Break out the pajamas, the virtual pajamas. So, yeah. Apparently, the other thing is she had her concert on Roblox in 2021 attracted 1.6 million fans. So it's just a reminder of the scale of these things.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, it's all part. I mean, it's part of the pop star portfolio, I suppose. Now, isn't it? I was thinking about this the other day that a bit like you're always advised to not put all your money in one place. To earn money as a major pop star now, there are lots of different avenues where you can reap rewards.
Yeah, and the cost as well. Like think about, for example, producing, I don't know, think about making 100,000 sets of Zara Larsson pajamas in the real world, and how much that costs, upfront costs to make them, and then and then making a set in Roblox, which is very quick. There's still some craft that goes into it, making something that works.
Yeah,
but the costs are just removed in terms of physical manufacturing. I mean, it's kind of it's the ultimate merch business in terms of simplicity, if you can get it right, and if the fans are happy to pay for it. But yeah.
And finally, this week, and this is some news from us. Well, me, as it goes, because it's quite hard saying this, and this. It's been something which has been a very difficult decision to make, but I am afraid that this is going to be my last week on this podcast. I mean, never say never, but for now, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. And it's nothing personal. It's me, not you. So, because it's
to me or to the listeners,
to all of you. We've been obviously myself and Stuart have talked about this, and producer Joe, for a little bit, and it's been very hard, because one of the things since we started this back in, I think it was February 2024, this show has been a real learning curve for me on many levels, not just how you present a show like this and the work that goes into it, but all the information about the music industry that I've learned from you, Stuart. It's been fascinating every week. So it's hard to walk away, but it's just obviously out there. The work I do in the world of live music as chair of Live, and also having the day job that pays the bills over at the BBC. Those things take up actually a surprising amount of time, partly because just trying to keep abreast of all the new music that's out there has meant I just haven't had very much time for anything else over the past few months. And also, I don't want to get to the stage where I'm doing a show and go, turning up to do this recording, not knowing what I'm talking about, and then walking away again and completely forgetting about it till next week. I would never. It's one of the things that always scares me, is just not doing the thing that you're doing to the best of your ability. So I wouldn't want to let you all down by being badly prepped. So it's time to hand over the reins. But thank you, everybody, all of you who've subscribed or supported us, and obviously to all the super fans as well who've helped keep this show alive. And also, I must say, to all our regular listeners, including those that I bumped into at the Great Escape Festival in Brighton over the weekend, who were very complimentary about the programme. Can I now apologise? I'm sorry I couldn't tell you personally that this was happening, because we didn't want to announce anything till today. But a couple of chaps particularly said, "Mate, carry on doing what you're doing. We love it. Don't pack this in." All the time I'm thinking, oh no, I can't tell you. But anyway, to all of you, thank you very much for listening. I'm really proud of what we've achieved so far. It might not be the biggest music podcast in the country, but we've always tried to fulfill the brief that we sort of had at the start of doing all this, which was, to try and untangle the music business for anyone who was interested. And of course, never fear, I'm painting a very gloomy picture, but this is not the end. The price of music does not end here. In fact, it's very much looking to the future now. It's just a minor change of personnel, because from next week, you will have heard him co-hosting the podcast with me the other week, but it's the man who's got us on air for the past year. Writer and lecturer Joe Sparrow will be joining you, Stuart, from next week, taking on the mantle of taking the mickey out of your obsession with the Black Crows.
He will be, and that means there's going to be a few more jingles, I suspect, as you've heard if you listen to. But I'm obviously it's carrying on. But from my point of view, it's been a real pleasure and a real education from my side too, because I mean, I've always been a writer, really, not a talker. And so working with someone who's not just a professional talker, but also everything you understand about pace and formats and shows, I've learned so much, including when to shut up sometimes. It's a valuable lesson. But I was thinking back to when we started this, and I think we had a Zoom meeting, didn't we, to kind of like, should we do this?
Yeah.
And I think we just talked about music for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, then producer Guy looked on going, I think this might work.
Yeah.
And that's been the key to it, I think.
We inadvertently made a pilot without really meaning to. Yeah, and that's how it all started. Yeah.
I'm genuinely sad you're not going to have to think about Baby Shark or the Black Crows or Dolly Parton on a regular basis unless I email you.
I'll be out there listening. I'll be turning. Well, I'll be the subscriber at the other end. But so I won't miss out on a regular dose of Baby Shark updates and weird merchandise. And whatever else you've got to throw at us. Yeah.
But it's been great, and I'm generally sorry, but we've talked about your reasons and we understand them completely. And I think, like you said, never say never. I don't think that the doors was going to be open to kind of reappear, guest appearances, come and tell us what we've been doing wrong in your absence. But thank you. It's honestly been a pleasure, and we're going to try and carry it on in the spirit that we have, and.
Well, in many ways, Joe is much more informed than I am. So I hope you all stick around, everybody. And as always, spread the word. Tell your friends or leave us a review somewhere online. Leave us a review. Leave a review of us online. Or, of course, if you want to be part of the gang who gets to stay for the lock-in, the bonus part of the programme, there's details of how to become a super fan at patreon.com/thepriceofmusic. Or if you'd just like to get in touch with the show, the email address is, as always, thepriceofmusic@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening. See you soon, everybody. Cheerio.
Goodbye.